broadly, in a way, coming from a perspective of technology providers, does that, is a huge part of your challenge how you communicate that, how you're changing people's lives?
I think you need to relate exactly to their life, how this is going to help them. You need to start with that question, whether it's an internal client, an employee, a colleague, or a customer. You need to design the new technology, the new systems around them, around their needs. If you are able to show that this new technology is designed to deliver value to them, to be tailor-made for them, to actually personalize the service that the technology provides them with, well, the half of the way is done already, because they will understand the value, and then the adoption, like we were talking before, will be easier. No, they will come more naturally. Mm-hmm.
Is it naive of me to believe that in the sectors that FLEC works in, that's harder than the call it for better terms, the professional sectors that you two gentlemen work in?
Not necessarily, I don't think. The challenges are different. People don't have a machine on their desk because they don't have a desk, and therefore the way that they need to interact with technology is different. There's a lot of stuff we are doing now that we couldn't have possibly done 5 years ago or 10 years ago, not because the technologies didn't exist, but people didn't have smartphones in their hands. They didn't have good data coverage everywhere. So we're able to do stuff because that changing nature of technology in the everyday. But I think the hunger and the desire to do things differently is as strong in blue collar as is in white collar work.
Mark, Tata does a lot of big change programs for its client base. Are you finding that the communications element of how people will interact with the enterprise technology is becoming a big part of your programs?
Well, I think the first step is, it's interesting hearing Felipe, and I totally agree. You've got to take the employee or indeed the customer on a journey. And I think that anything you do with IT has to be twinned with a business outcome. Why are you delivering IoT? Not for the sake of IoT. Why are you delivering a hybrid network? Nobody cares unless it's delivered with a view that, well, I need to be more agile. I need to move this stuff over to the cloud. Well, why do you need to move this stuff over to the cloud? Because I need to interact with my customers in a different way. Yeah. In a round table we had earlier with someone, General Paul, who worked previously at John Lewis, and I think that's a great example of where you had this big move to things to catalog and online shopping, which was super scary for everybody that was sitting in a retail store. But look, if you didn't design to change, you wouldn't have a business anymore. Yeah. And we look at the retail, the street today, high street today, it's fundamentally different. So I think, you have to take the guys, the customer, and the first thing we do is try and, when we're going to a customer, is understand, well, why are you going down a path of SD-WAN, for example? Or why are you let's be clear on what you're trying to achieve so we can build something. There's so many things out there, and you tend to boil the ocean if you're not careful. And then what's the outcome of it? So delivering goals that are twinned with clear, achievable and share expectations with the CEO is important, because you can define success and show success, and ideally take the employees and the customer on a journey. And then in terms of collaboration,
thinking of that word, collaboration, absolutely. Yeah, because it's not only that you can serve customers and colleagues better, it's that if you adopt the newer technologies, open source technology and the API-based microservices, then you can partner and collaborate not only internally, but also with third parties. And that means that you can do more, and you can present customers with a wider choice. And that is in banking something that is happening progressively, because banks traditionally, they are by nature conservative and risk averse, and perhaps rightly so. But we are realizing at the banking sector that that type of collaboration with the newer technologies, that only with the newer technologies is possible, well, it presents banks with perfect opportunities to widen their portfolio of products and services, and therefore deliver more value to customers. So it's a big enabler in that sense as well.
So I was going to pick up on that, and the open banking sort of example is interesting, because obviously that was sort of pushed through the regulators, but I see that in the enterprise as well now, that more and more, rather than having silos and towers of technology, by being able to integrate across multiple technologies, we can provide a much more seamless service for the worker, for the employee, deliver more business value. And I think that's one of the quite exciting things, coming from my perspective, running a startup, is I don't need to build everything. I don't need to try and be another Oracle in terms of having lots of that technology. I can focus on what I'm doing, try and do that as well as we can, and then integrate into an ecosystem around us that might do payroll or might do time and attendance or might do something else that's allied to what we're trying to do, but we don't need to go and build that ourselves, which makes the barrier to entry for new technologies into the employee much, much lower.
And perhaps coming back to the employee that was on the question, it allows organizations to provide them with choices. So, well, perhaps an easy example is collaboration tools. No? Within the Santander, as a bank, we had teams working on Teams, the Microsoft tool, another one's using Skype for business, another one uses Slack, and they had actually that choice. The technology function has become much less prescriptive. In the past, you have to do it this way, because if not, security is not going to work. And that because we were very close-minded and we didn't understand the outside world. Now this is changing, and it's providing colleagues, employees with much more choice, and then they can adapt and work with the tools and with the processes that perhaps they feel are better fit for their purpose. Yeah.
And I think when we come back to it again, to the usual, when we talked about the challenges of adoption, and also twin that with why would you deliver communications and collaboration, and I think for the latter, you have to. I mean, you look at areas like banking. There's huge security ramifications for moving things to a cloud-based infrastructure. There is a shortage of cyber professionals. You've got a workforce now starting to become more native at that, but they're not going to be everywhere. They're going to work in a different way. They're going to work in a more project-based. You have this term of the gig employee, working in bits and freelancing and moving around, but you have to therefore create a framework that delivers that collaborative and secure communications environment. But then for adoption, you've got to make it, and to your point, Felipe, you've got to make it easy for them to, if it takes them half an hour to sign in, or if it just, it's the Active Directory doesn't spin up, so there's no contacts in there, then why use it? You're just going to go back to previous technologies and try and figure out how to do it. So there is an onus to create that continuity, and, it's carrot and stick. I think sometimes, we might want to shut Skype for Business because you need to move to Teams and people won't use it, but then give them an environment that's actually fun to use and works. And that's an obligation on the businesses for sure.